Diverse voices.
Unique sound.
Not the same old thing. Different.
This is NoCo FM.
Good evening. Hello, Space Cadets and boys and girls. Welcome to our first ever exciting edition of Corbin versus the World. I am your hero, Corbin David Albaugh, in video form for the first time, so you can put a face to a voice if you have only been listening through the audio medium up to this point. We're doing a special visual episode because we are fortunate enough to be joined in the studio via crazy outer space satellite uplink with the wonderful space rock indie outer space wizards Eldren. They are here in the studio with us. This is...
How's it going, Corbin? Hey.
Hello, gentlemen. Care to introduce yourselves?
I'm Nasser. This is Tyler. How's it going, guys?
Hello. So you guys are here in the studio. You guys have got some exciting new music coming out, hopefully in support of an album that'll be coming out a little bit later this summer. You guys just had a new single come out that's called Fell In, and we are going to be watching a music video for that just a little bit later. But you guys are also donating a portion of your streaming royalties to that song, or for that song, to the Black Lives Matter movement, which is fantastic. But tell me a little bit about this songwriting process in this age of coronavirus, in this age of social upheaval, so many things changing. How did that affect the songwriting process, or just the whole process of creating the new music and the new album?
Good question.
I think most of this song we had finished recording before the pandemic broke. But mixing it and finishing it up, I think we finished during and post.
Yeah, we had been working on this one for about a year, I'd say.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the general process of most of our songs. We just have like this huge backlog of music. And we gravitate towards whatever songs make sense for the current time frame and what's going on. And work on them like that, and they kind of fall into place in their own releases and kind of fit into a bigger album scheme throughout time and throughout the process of getting there.
Awesome.
Yeah, for this song, for example, this was started by Nasser here, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of started with some keyboards, basic vocal parts, and drum loop. And then we took it over to my studio, Damon's studio, and started fleshing it out differently. Brought in the rest of the band.
So the song was finished before we brought it to the band. I recorded some keyboards and some vocals and kind of used drum loops. And got the structure there.
But we came up with the arrangement, added the chorus, etc. I guess what we're driving it at, we kind of wrote this starting with Nasser and then me, and then added the other elements.
Yeah, we added everybody post,
including some female backing vocals, a couple cool extra things. But
awesome. And you're a 5-piece, right? In total?
Yes. Nasser and I started the band, so it's based around our songwriting and mostly our partnership in making music. And sometimes we'll do things that don't include all the instruments, or that have more instruments, more people than 5. So I think we're kind of flexible in that. We don't pigeonhole ourselves into being like a 5-person band.
Yeah.
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah, a lot of times it'll just be an acoustic song that morphs into something else. But yeah, all the songs start with one or both of us working on an idea and then kind of evolving from there.
Absolutely. And that seems to be the case with a lot of your music is there's so much evolution and progression, just in song to song. And I had such a good time listening to your first two albums, just hearing, each song would almost be like, okay, this is the way that the song is going to go. And then maybe like minute 30, 2 minutes in, we have some sample or some new, drum loop comes in and I'm like, oh my God, this completely changes, this changes the entire tone of the song. And, your songs are so lush and they're so dynamic. If you had told me that you were a 30-person band, I would believe you. But, just the fact that you're able to get that amount of dynamics and that range of sounds, with 5 people and, whatever other supporting musicians you bring on is so impressive.
Yeah, a lot of that comes from Josh. A lot of the big orchestral movement sounds kind of come from Josh. He's become a wizard at layering violins and making them sound bigger and like it's 30, 40 people at a time playing the violin together. So credit where credit's due.
Yeah, and I think to touch on some of that, I think we don't like to be tied into one genre or one way of making music. And I think what we got to do, especially when we did this separation sessions videos, was have fun and explore even beyond what we normally do, different genres, try and mash up songs from the 60s with styles from what did we do? We did
Hooked on a Feeling as a trap song.
Yeah. That was my first, when I saw your list of separation sessions, I saw the first song I saw was a Harry Nilsson cover, then Led Zeppelin. And I was like, okay, I think I get it. And then the next song was Eddie Murphy's Party All the Time. And I was like, okay, I changed my mind. I love it.
And I think we've always wanted to kind of take that eclecticism and very different backgrounds and things about music, about different time periods and styles of music, and put them into our originals. So doing that during the lockdown quarantine thing was a way to exercise that further. But yeah, I think we've always kind of embraced that.
Totally.
Having also diverse backgrounds in the band.
Sure.
Basically.
Yeah. And it seems like you guys had a lot of fun putting those videos together. What was probably your favorites of the sessions that you've done so far? And I suppose before we even get into that, for those of you listening and watching that are not aware, could you guys kind of tell us a little bit more about those separation sessions and what they entail and kind of when they started?
So basically, I don't know, how long ago did the quarantine begin?
It was like
March, beginning of March.
Week of March.
Yeah.
The beginning of March, the world shut down and we kind of decided like, hey, this is an opportunity. We'd always talked about doing like a cover series and maybe putting together a cover album. And this was like kind of the perfect opportunity. So I contacted Tyler and, I wanted to do an Elliott Smith cover. And then it happened that Bill Withers passed right at the beginning of the quarantine as well, right at the beginning of March. So I recorded just an acoustic guitar take of me playing Ain't No Sunshine and then sent it over to Tyler. And he added on drums and bass and keys.
We had Josh play on it.
Josh played violin on it. And we were all that stuff we recorded independently at our home studios.
So the idea kind of came out of necessity. Because at that time, probably for the first 2 or 3 weeks, at least, we weren't even seeing each other.
Yeah.
It was very... And I feel like it's going to get back to that probably now. But
more than likely,
we weren't even in contact with each other for maybe a month. So we literally did all this over email, exchanging, uploading, Google Drive, etc.
Yeah.
But so we saw. I think we just came up with the name for the first one because we were like, oh, we're doing these separately.
So they became the separation sessions, and then we kind of like, we're like, all right, we can do 2 a week. We'll do 2 a week. And Tyler was like, well, I said 2 a week. And Tyler was like
3 a week.
Yeah, originally I was like, we can do 3 a week. It's not a big problem.
Let's get bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of bit off more than we could chew. So like it kind of ended up being this process of us figuring out the song we wanted to do 2 or 3 days before we were supposed to release the video. And then like, I mean, for the most part, we were just kind of the night before finishing the song and then also finishing editing the video.
Oh, yeah.
Like a couple of hours before we were going to upload. So most of those videos
and
were done.
Also how we did it started progressing. We started be like, okay, we're going to have more fun and learn more about making music videos, making live videos.
It was definitely a learning process.
Instead of just making it, we kind of started where it was just the split screen Zoom thing. And then we're like, well, we can get more creative. We can do
and you can kind of see an evolution in the videos.
So then we started to take more time, and we spent. I mean, doing 2 a week was a lot because we had to shoot them all separately, have people get their crappy iPhone footage in their basement.
Pretty much everything is all iPhone footage in all those videos.
Perfect.
And
then,
well, the ones on your phone look good.
Yeah.
But then you got the drummer in his basement with a candle lighting it.
Candlelit lighting.
That's okay. It adds ambiance to the scene.
Exactly.
That's the important part.
Essentially, it was like a challenge and something that we felt like we wanted to keep up with and have to force ourselves to put out content and work through things and find creative solutions to problems under a deadline.
Yeah.
And it made us I feel super confident in being able to mix or record different styles of music beyond where we were, and to, put together a music video that we like, shoot, thinking about lighting. It was I think it was kind of an educational experience for us.
It was a crash course in editing and
all these things,
like very fastly editing and making YouTube videos for
and 8
weeks straight.
Yeah.
And a chance to show different sides, different music, different things that influenced us, and maybe new creative takes on songs.
Yeah.
So.
Totally. And I felt that 100%. And that's so cool that you guys, that you've taken this opportunity to kind of grow your artistic creative skills with all those visual mediums. So you guys handled all the video editing, all the effects, all of that stuff was you guys as well?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's really tremendous.
Yes. We spent it would come out every Monday and Thursday.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of Sunday and Wednesday nights till about 6 a.m.
Yeah. And I used Final Cut to edit most of those videos. And since then I've started using Adobe Premiere, which is, leaps and bounds easier in a lot of ways. And it's also a new relearning process. So it's just, it never stops.
It never really does. Well,
No.
in that vein, I thought that we would take advantage of this cool new visual medium, and I would take us to one of those videos of the separation sessions. I'd love to show off your guys' cover of Tenacious D's Friendship, because it just fills me with so much good energy on all the levels. So
yeah, that's one of our favorites.
Yeah, this is so like the approach to this one, we kind of went with like an 80s pop sound that moved into more of a Kraftwerk thing.
Yeah.
Halfway through, and then kind of finishes on a strong early Ween sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the vibe. It touches so many musical bases. The thing I love about your guys' music is that it feels like a sampler of all of the great, experimental psychedelic rock sounds that have come out in the last 20, 30 years.
Awesome.
You
Thanks,
hear
man.
Ween in there. It's fantastic. So without any further ado, we are going to adjust the Corbin versus the World Eye of Sauron over to that separation session for their cover of Tenacious D's Friendship. Take it away, YouTube. All right, welcome back, friends. We just got done watching the lovely and uplifting music video for Eldren's Separation Sessions cover of Tenacious D's Friendship. Filled me with all the bright and fuzzy feelings and also reminded me of all the video games I'm not playing right now. Such a good song, guys. So much fun. Holy hell.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
It was everything you promised and more.
We didn't write it.
That's okay. We can always
We
pretend.
changed it up a little.
You took enough liberty with it that you can own it. You can call it your
Yeah.
own. And that's what's really cool is you guys, even from the very beginning, your first album is Welcome to Deathville, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Just from the very beginning, you guys seemed like you had a very confident, very singular sound. Do you think that you're, and it sounded like there was just even more kind of crystallization and more layering that went into that second album. Do you see this next album that you're putting out as kind of a progression for yourself in terms of musicians or artists, or were there any extra influences that you've picked up in the last few years?
Hopefully it's not a regression.
Yeah, I think in general, it's kind of, to me, it feels like the songs are a little bit more focused, and on Welcome to Deathville, a lot of those songs we had played live for years before we had put them on an album, and with Misinformation Aged, some of that was true, but a lot of those songs were pretty new when we released the album. And the new songs that we're releasing now, most of these songs we've played, on a tour, so
Last year.
yeah, and then just within the
Last
last
tour
year,
was almost a year.
yeah, exactly. So it's still pretty new songs to us. And
As far as progressing though, I think so. I would say sonically, yeah, we've kind of come into our own and working in the studio. I kind of run a studio, record other bands as well. But that whole process, working with that, is giving us I think a palette of different sounds and abilities to do things that we didn't have before, obviously. And I think, we've always been interested in both sides of everything from acoustic to completely synthetic, completely electronic, and in between. And let's say the last album, Misinformation Age, leaned more in that electronic, especially given its themes and musical makeup. But I think what we have here is more morphing back into using both, that kind of approach, electronic, computer-made stuff, and more natural rock sounds as well.
Yeah. So you mentioned, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so a lot of these songs that we're going to be hearing on the album, a lot of those have been road tested, prior to recording.
Definitely.
some of them. For
there
sure.
might be a few that are new that we haven't, especially given the fact we played 2 shows since last August, really.
Yeah, I mean,
we have a big New Year's show, a big cover show.
We had planned on touring, and obviously, just like everybody else, all of our shows got canceled. Tour got canceled, and so now we're kind of in this spot where some venues are trying to have shows again, and
we're deciding if we want to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like it feels to me, and I was talking to one of my friends about this last night, another artist who's booked in the same situation as us, or it feels like we're not supposed to be the ones making the decision whether we want to play a show right now.
Right.
It seems crazy to me that the decision to put our lives, staff's lives, fans' lives at risk of being exposed to this virus. on our heads to decide whether we want to have a show or not. So, we're still in the middle of this process of figuring out if we're going to play a live show again within the next, couple of months, in the near future, what that's going to look like, where we're going to do it. As it stands, most venues, I think, are they're limiting to 50 cap, at very much not even half capacity, but much less than half capacity, and having people sit separately.
Only 25 people tops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's
2 shows a night. It interests us in a way that it's almost going to be a different thing, type of event. It's everything is going to be very spread out, not packed. I don't feel like it's going to be oriented towards dancing or rocking out, and which I personally, that interests me artistically, to put on a show that's almost a sit down event that's maybe more theatrical, maybe I don't know, but it interests us in that way, but also we're very reticent about
just the health aspects, the social aspects of it as well.
Especially
it's hard.
I don't know when this, by the time this comes out, who knows what the world's going to look like. But as of now, there's a huge spike in reported cases, and that worries me that maybe we're jumping the gun here. At least it feels that way to me. That maybe. It's irresponsible to jump right back into live events. Of course, we want to play live. We love playing live. It's one of the best. It's one of the reasons we started doing this is to connect with people live. There's no substitute for live shows. But at the same time, I just don't want to put people in harm's way for that reason alone.
Yeah. And you mentioned it earlier, it's a hard decision, and it's a hard tightrope to walk, because, you guys are in a position where, you have new material coming out, you have new songs, you have a new album, and, the common wisdom is, okay, you've got the album out, you've got to have shows, you've got to, tour, you've got to get the word out. But
that whole landscape is completely going to shift now. Who knows what it's going to look like a year from now. Even it seems like big shows, and that's another thing. It's it doesn't seem monetarily worth the time to do this right now, especially because it's okay. When we play a show, we'd like to make sure that everybody gets paid, and if
there's 25
people paying $20 tickets, it's not that, it's not a great,
can't pay everyone in the band more than $50.
Yeah, so it's
basically covers drinks at the bar at that point,
right? Yeah, and not even.
Yeah, if we're gonna be real,
not that that's what it's all about, but it's an element of
sure.
Being in a band in 2020, you have to think about a lot of things at the same time. It's not just, hey, is it going to be fun? Is it going to be monetarily successful? Is it going to be something that we want people to remember? And more as time goes by, I feel like I'd like to focus on doing things that have lasting impact and are meaningful, as opposed to doing things just for the sake of doing them.
Right. And that's something I think that all of us that work in the creative industry are kind of, struggling with right now is, creating work that not only has, some type of permanence, but also, music that also, or just art or, content that really helps, elevate society or just elevate the audience. I think that's so important right now. Well, you guys have certainly.
It's a tough debate because the super tough times, it feels like people need some sort of outlet as well. there hasn't been any live music, and there's not going to be in the same way for a long time. So I feel like this is a point of big confusion for us.
Yeah.
And
I get it, man. Like, obviously the people are hurting right now, especially, and like, you know, we're tribal, you know, human beings are tribal. We need our people. We need to feel connected with each other. And I don't think you really get that through like, even right now, like being in person is connecting in a different way than the digital face-to-face, you know?
Yeah.
It's never going to be the same, but this is the world we live in right now. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's very counterintuitive that social interaction and connection with people is potentially very harmful.
Yeah.
Where on the other side of it, being isolated and the opposite is equally harmful and
intolerable.
So,
yeah, it's
very
tough tightrope.
Yeah.
But, you know, one thing that's really great that you guys have been doing is, you know, you're still putting out amazing music, and you're still putting out those separation sessions, which, you know, those do bring positive energy, and they do, you know, I just like watching the friendship video. I was like, you know what, for about 4 minutes, I have completely forgotten about, you know, all of the various storms raging around my house right now. And, you know, this is good, and this is pure, and it can be an escape. And that's, you know, it's a good thing what you guys are doing, you know, whether you,
yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I think that's important to think about too, you know, so many serious things going on, you know, we want to weigh in on that to a degree, but we also want to know where are we most important, you know, and how can we affect society and people positively? Maybe that's not being political activists or being, you know, having that. Maybe we provide that in a different way, because I think we feel a lot of pressure to, you know, like to do something about the world. And I think a lot of people do, to make it a better place. And it's hard to know what to do. And sometimes it's good to hear reassurance that even just making music and doing what we love to do impacts people positively.
Totally.
Yeah, we definitely haven't spent a lot of time in the last decade doing anything else. So
I feel you.
It'd be a tough sell to, like, all of a sudden, you know, try to start doing something completely different than what we're doing. I think writing and recording music makes sense to us, and it's what we've been working on for a long time. So, you know, we're going to continue doing that.
Excellent. And, you know, the thing to always remember is, you know, every moment like this, it passes. And although, you know, who's to say what it'll look like 2 years, 3 years from now, you know, this could, you know, eventually, when this all subsides, you know, there may be new performance paradigms. You know, masks might become just omnipresent. You know, they're already kind of becoming normalized nowadays. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there might be new paradigms that we kind of enter in the next couple of years. But, you know, we can always hold out hope that the traditional, you know, means of performance and all of that, they will maintain, you know, as the years and the time goes on.
Yeah, and I think we try to look at it as a creative challenge, like I kind of mentioned with our separation sessions. You know, like we don't have the opportunity to do live shows in the same capacity, at least, or at all. We haven't. So how can we do something different? Can we, you know, do something where we record separately, bring it together for videos, learn more about
version of Hooked on a Feeling?
Hell yeah.
You know, take advantage of things we might not have or thought of, using our iPhones to make music videos because we need to. Like, we don't really have any access to any gear other than that for video. So, yeah, I think we try to take it as creatively and musically as a challenge, even though it's easy to rue the past that we've lost, or the past ways of making things that we've lost, and the past ways of seeing music and making music. But
I have friends who have straight up said, you know, I don't miss touring. You know, Like if there's an alternate means of keeping live music around and keeping artists paid and able to function and continue creating content, then we're trying to figure that out.
Yeah, and if you're trading 16 hours in the van for that, hey, maybe that's not a bad deal.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I think we certainly do miss live performance.
Yeah,
and that's.
I didn't say I'm.
Yeah.
I was saying a friend of ours.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I would like to do is show off another one of those separation sessions, music videos. Like I'm amazed that, you say it's shot on iPhones. You say you guys did it yourself. I was completely blown away by the quality of these videos. If you
Thanks.
Again, I think this is the last one we did. It's We Will Become Silhouettes, by the Postal Service. Tyler wanted to do this one. He had been talking about it, it feels very appropriate. The words, the lyrics,
they're like literally seemingly about
a pandemic,
situation.
Yeah. And so like the words are pretty on the nose for this one, and
but again, we wanted to take a different musical approach.
Yeah, I mean, like as far as the musical approach, what would you classify the influences for this song?
More classic rock.
Classic rock,
kind of like the Who.
Yeah.
A lot of people are getting from it.
Yeah.
For that one, we also wanted to, bring in some of the other musicians that we work with frequently from the Denver community, like Cassidy Bacon from The Whimsy of Things, Nick J from Sick Duck, and
Eric Estrada from Ramachandra. Yeah.
Love Ramachandra. That's the second show in a row that Ramacandra's come up.
Is Kali.
Yeah. Ramachandra, they're awesome. Yeah, they're unreal. Their new album is
so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so we wanted to incorporate them and kind of go even further, which of course, having more people record remotely, but they were all super on board. And I think it turned out pretty great.
Can confirm. Did turn out pretty great.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's turn it over to that music video for We Will Become Silhouettes.
Yeah.
And finally gone. And we become silhouettes when our bodies finally gone. When our bodies finally gone. When our bodies finally gone.
Hello, yes, we are back in the studio. I am still here with Eldren sharing their wonderful, wonderful time. We just got done watching their video, their separation sessions video for We Will Become Silhouettes by the Postal Service. Great song. Ben Gibbard has actually been pretty active in the quarantine cover sessions. I don't know if you guys have been
I saw that.
keeping track of
him
that.
doing a couple of Facebook Live videos.
Yeah, he did a cover. He's been doing so many, but the one that got me, have you guys seen I Think You Should Leave on Netflix? This guy, he does a song from that sketch show. And it's, I'm gonna butcher the sketch, so I'm gonna ruin it for you. I'm sorry, but it's about this like Johnny Cash type guy in the studio, and he's pitching the song to these record executives, and they're like, "Sorry, man, we're just not feeling what you're picking. We're not really feeling what you're laying down." And that they're like, "We want something natural." And then it's like the cliche scene in the movie where he's like, "Oh, you want something natural? Okay, let's go." And then he starts playing this like really snappy song, and then he tells his backing musician to follow his lead. And then when it's his turn to sing, he just starts screaming about like skeletons coming to life and totally ruins the song. But Ben Gibbard does a cover of that song. And for the record, if you're not watching I Think You Should Leave, that is a lot of fun. I love sketch comedy. I don't know about you guys. What's your go-to quarantine hobby activity when you guys aren't creating your amazing space rock?
And I got a lot of hobbies.
Yeah, he says sitting in the gamer chair.
Yeah, I play a lot of video games. So that's definitely been one outlet of my time. But for the most part, it's just been writing and recording music, hanging out with my family. My brother and sister-in-law and his kids recently moved back to Denver.
Oh, cool.
And so, I've just been doing a lot of uncle time.
Nice. Yeah, family time is super important,
Yep.
because very often those are the people that we've gotten closest reach.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I wanted to, you guys were talking a little bit while we were on break about, you called it a dartboard of covers for those separation sessions. How deep does that well go exactly? How many potential covers could you guys bust out? What's the selection process like there? Do you really throw darts?
Brainstorm songs that we like, and then songs that people have requested, and we kind of put them all on a big giant dartboard and throw darts at it.
Like literally?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's amazing. That's probably the best way to pick. That's my creative process.
There's darts that we throw, and then that's the song dart, and then there's another dartboard with genre, and so they'll be like original version or 80s version or trap.
Yeah, like your Hooked on a Feeling trap cover.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
was definitely next level. What's the weirdest song that you have on that pool right now, without spoiling anything?
Well, we've kind of taken a break and put to rest that season. I think we're gonna probably bring it back.
Yeah,
We're kind of, unfortunately, probably during the second wave.
Yeah, we'll continue doing separation sessions at a later date. We wrapped it at, how many videos did we do? 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did 14 separation sessions. So that's like a wealth of content right there
absolutely.
for anybody to kind of jump into.
It's like an album's
worth.
worth.
No way that we're gonna release the knowledge publicly.
Yeah. You can't.
It's classified. I'm sorry. I was just trying to pierce the corporate veil.
No.
Oh yeah, it's okay. I get points for trying, right?
So a big thing I think we're actually going to do the next time we bring it up is have do like more requests and maybe a Patreon type thing. You know, like we'll do anything you want if you
within reason.
Yeah, we're gonna be on OnlyFans.
Oh, perfect. Only Eldren fans.
Yeah.
And
Better get that domain name while you can.
but I think, but I'm being serious. We do want to open it up to like requests, and you know, maybe make it a Patreon thing where if you can be as specific as you want. If
you want us to do a mindless self-indulgence song in the style of Katy
Aretha
Perry.
Franklin.
Do you I'm so glad that you name check mindless self-indulgence. How often during the year do you just jump in the time capsule and listen to mindless self, and then you think in the back of your head, you're like, how many bands did these guys secretly influence?
Probably more than you'd think.
Yeah, more than we'll admit it. That's one of my go-to guilty pleasure. I need to remember junior high right now. That's what I go to. It's that or my bottomless well of pop punk.
Nobody understands me at all.
Except Jimmy Urine. Jimmy Urine gets me.
But honestly, the selection process, I don't know if we had like a whole well of them. We would just kind of talk to each other, and Nas would be like, I want to do this. I'd be like, but I want to do this. So we ended up kind of splitting it where it would be like one that he picked, one that I picked.
That sounds fair.
We'd, work on them together. But
so it seems like there's a lot of, there's a lot of camaraderie going on, not only between you guys, but just everyone else in the band. That's what watching your live videos and all of that, it seems like there's just a really strong bond that exists between everybody in the band.
There is, and I think it's come from time and from, dealing with adversity as a band. We had a member pass away in 2016, our bassist, Steve. As well as other members come and go.
Yeah.
Our violinist, Josh, dealing with legal issues, nearly being deported.
Jeez.
A lot of things. So I think we appreciate and try not to take for granted what we have and have been brought together.
Yeah, being in a band is akin to being in a relationship with 5 other men. It's you get to know each other intimately.
Oh yeah,
it smells just as bad.
Yeah, you get to know each other in ways intimately that you never thought you'd get to know another person. But for all of our faults and all of our strengths and weaknesses, we think above all else, we really love each other and care about each other a lot. And spending time together is there's no replacement for that. And even members who have since stopped playing with us are still family and still, to me, still in the band, in a way. So
that's really great. Have you been able, I'm going to, once again, talking about the time machine, but I wanted to take just a little trip down memory lane, just, recent history. What was the last tour that you guys went on?
Last August, we did a Midwest tour.
Dope.
Kind of centered around Bellwether Fest in Ohio, which was pretty cool. Some big names, Cake, Cold War Kids. We're the opener. But I'm actually from Ohio, so we got to stay at my childhood home.
Wonderful.
And we hit a few places on the way there and back.
We hit a few people out. We ran out.
That's fine.
It's gonna be part of it.
You got a statute of limitations. You're okay.
We had about 4 days to stay at my house, and I have a basketball hoop there.
Hey.
And we were trying to get some exercise and play basketball. I forget exactly which version, 21 or some other.
Or horse.
I think we were just playing 2-on-2 when I rolled my ankle.
Oh no.
And I broke it. I broke my ankle at his house the 2 days before Bellwether Fest.
Jesus.
So he was in a boot.
I was in a boot.
Das
And
Boot.
then the day before, or maybe, I
I
think
don't
broke
remember
my-
which one happened first.
I think I rolled my ankle first, and then the next night, Tyler was playing basketball with Mason, and I think
Our
they were playing. You guys were playing 21,
Something.
and
We were chasing after rebound, and I landed.
and then
I go pretty hard.
Tyler was pretty. He was really feeling it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and
Going hard in the
you know,
paint.
Yeah, he was going real hard in the paint, and they were chasing the ball down. It went into a patch of grass, and I just saw Tyler fly into the air, slip on grass, fly into the air. Mason slip on grass underneath Tyler, and Tyler landed on Mason really hard,
Oh no.
and
Basically broke his collarbone.
broke his collarbone in 3 places.
Holy hell.
So he had to go home early. We shipped him home.
Went on injured
And,
reserve.
Yeah,
Then we all had to kind of do musical chairs on the bass.
yeah. I played bass
For
in
the rest
front,
of the
in front of
tour.
like 1,000 people, and I really have never played bass for Eldren before that day. So that was.
But it worked out.
It worked
And
out.
of course, all the fans were like, "Oh, the coolest part of your band is how you guys switch and play bass."
Yeah, that's what we do all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it worked out, but it was also, it was a bittersweet moment. I really
Sure.
wish Mason could have played that show with us and finished
But
the tour out with
By the
us.
time we made it back, we were playing the Larimer Lounge for like our headliner, our last like headliner in Denver, honestly,
Yeah.
because we're planning to do something right around now. But and he was able to play.
Mhm.
He sat on a stool. People got him
Yep.
shots.
Yeah.
On
Beautiful.
a little drunk
Poor
so he could
guy.
get
So it was
through
a nice bookend on that whole adventure.
Yeah.
Other
for
than
sure.
that, I think the only other shows we played in the last year were, I think we did a
New Year's show.
a New Year's show with the Yoppers and at the Oriental Theater, and then we did we do our I think it was
Dark Side of the
our 8th
Moon,
annual Dark Side of the Moon show.
which is something we do every year.
Oh, cool.
We also have videos of that show on our YouTube page as well.
Hey, give that a
If you
plug.
if you're a fan of Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin, we have some covers from that show on our YouTube
Little
page.
promo here.
Yeah, well, that's what this is for. So, tell me a little bit more about those shows. The
Dark Side of the
annual
Moon
ones.
show?
Yeah, the annual shows.
It's been
It's just
8 years. Basically, we started. It was kind of just,
it started off as us and Pedals of Spain, who Mason, our current bass player, used to be in Pedals of Spain, but now he's in Eldren.
which is now a defunct band.
Yeah, I don't think Pedals is around anymore now.
But we
Alas.
basically all together, we did Dark Side of the Moon, front to back, and Abbey Road.
Cool.
So it was kind of a 2-album show. After that fell off after a couple of years, we continued doing Dark Side of the Moon,
Yeah.
as well as we do a set of originals and other covers.
Yeah.
But it's really cool because we took a lot of time to break down all the sounds and present it close to the way the album sounds from the studio, with maybe a little bit of
Improvisation,
live.
yeah.
Hmm.
improv and embellishment, but as accurately as we can.
Yeah. And it's kind of just grown into like a year-round thing, or not year-round, but an annual thing that happens. And like, people have been coming for years at this point, and it kind of feels like a small family of people that really come to expect that show to happen. And
And
Yeah.
we play with other musicians. We have a whole
Cole Ruby from
background.
Dragon Deer plays slide on the album. Fab Foles plays saxophone. Aubrey Hamrick and Cassidy Bacon have been singing with us. Caitlin Williams.
Shouts out
sings here
Caitlin
with
Williams.
us. Yeah, K-Dubs, she's awesome. Amazing singer.
Another chance to get to do something with a bunch of musicians
Yeah.
outside of the band.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
we like. So yeah, that was kind of our first foray into the cover world.
Mhm.
And we love
we
doing it.
never did anything else ever.
we're a cover band from now
We
on.
just did a series of 14 cover videos.
Right.
But that was more kind of down the line. That is kind of more down the line, like classic rock covers.
Mhm.
So which we like, but we only want to do once a year.
Yeah.
We're not going to be Brit Floyd.
Exactly. There's a time and place for the covers,
Yeah,
and that's the
I think
separation
it's also cool
sessions.
'cause we're like
That's
maybe
February.
Yeah.
maybe a little younger group of people doing Pink Floyd as opposed to like all the cover bands who do who do Pink Floyd right now who are going to be like 60 years old. So I think there's I've always liked that because I think our show has maybe a little more authenticity to the original vision and recording of it.
I think so.
Of a
Got
band
that.
was 24, 25 then, as opposed to, you got your
Uncle
and your
Dave
dad doing Pink Floyd covers. I don't think they have the same kind of vitality. Like
Doesn't
where
like
they
his
came
fun.
from.
Same song, but 3 times the energy, the real
Yeah.
energy. Yeah. One thing I'm really getting is that there's a really strong spirit of collaboration, between other musicians in the area. You are all good. We'll bleep that out later. But what's your, have you all, from the time that the band started, have you always kind of, had that collaborative spirit with other bands? I've noticed that just in the time where I've been involved or just, kind of had my ear to the scene, it seems like the Denver music scene, it seems to be really close knit. A lot of people are very close and there's just a lot of teamwork there. What's your experience been with that?
I think in our formative years as a band, when we were kind of finding our place in the scene and kind of meeting everybody, there was a lot more collaboration and, incestual behavior between bands. But since then, I think we've kind of, we made a lot of really good friends, and I would like to continue to meet more people and collaborate with newer different bands and people that we don't know. But we have a pretty close group of friends from that time that have kind of lasted. I think we've definitely played with a lot of people and collaborated with as many as we can. In fact, Nate Cook of the Operas and Tyler and I have been secretly working on a Christmas album for the last 6 years.
That's really exciting.
And who knows if it'll ever come out.
We can maintain hope. I can promise you that'll get plenty of play during our Christmas season.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
I don't know if you're gonna want these songs.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of novelty Christmas songs. The band
Hey, you're
Twisted
our market.
Sister.
Yeah, you're our target demographic for this album.
Perfect. Love it. Well,
Touching on that more, I think we're interested in collaboration still.
Yeah.
I think maybe like Nasser was saying, we were more active socially, so a lot of the collaboration was like a younger band phase and more of that. Some of it's more, I'd say, professional now.
Yeah.
In a way.
Mhm.
Like we do, in addition to the Dark Side of the Moon, we do a yearly cover show with the Operas where we get together and we've been covering soundtracks. What did we do this year? Big Lebowski.
Oh, that's
Big
sick.
Lebowski, yeah. We did the Big Lebowski.
We've done the Big
soundtrack,
Lebowski.
Perfect.
Animal
Animal House. Pulp Fiction was
Pulp
a really,
Fiction.
really fun one.
Yeah.
I think that was the first one we did with the Operas.
And so, working on some of these cover things has been an outlet of collaboration. And like I mentioned, I run a studio and work with other bands from the producing and recording standpoint. And a lot of times, that will lead to something where, maybe we will help them on their album, or bring Josh in. Oh, you need violin, this, that, or the other way around. I think the way we kind of, even with Cassidy, I worked on her band's album, The Whimsy of Things, and she's kind of been around a lot to do female vocals.
She's actually on one of the songs that we played today, NWO.
Oh,
and
great.
fell in.
Fell in.
Yeah.
Great.
So, but that's what I would say. I think where he's maybe earlier is kind of like a fun, party collaboration.
Yeah, I think
type.
at one point we were playing shows where there was 12 people on stage.
Great.
So, that was quite a while ago, but we would have a saxophone player, trumpet player, hand percussion, drums, it was a whole cacophony of sound on stage.
The whole gamut.
We've definitely gone from the too much collaboration to no, I'm going to do all this song myself and everywhere in between. So,
well, it's good dynamics, and that's that's the thing that stands out about your guys' music is that it's such a broad range. You excel when it's lush instrumentation. You excel when it's just that stripped down acoustic, and it's all very distinctive, which is so great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, totally. And on that note, we've been talking a lot about covers and we've been playing a lot of covers, but did you know that Eldren has some fantastic songs that are theirs and theirs only? Because we're going to be playing so many of those in just a little bit with some accompanying visuals. One of the songs that we're going to be playing is your new single or your latest single that's called Fell In. And I think I mentioned a little bit earlier in this program, you're going to be donating a selection or a portion of your streaming royalties to the NAACP and the Color of Change organization.
Yeah, specifically to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund.
Gotcha.
Which, will help legal funds for people who can't afford it, people of color who can't afford that, which we think is very important and a way that we can contribute, especially in, I think, a nonviolent way, which is important to us.
Yeah. And touching on that subject, I think one of the most important things that I've seen in a long time that I think all Americans should watch is Dave Chappelle's 846, which is the time it took between George Floyd being detained and him passing away, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And I think Dave Chappelle's 846 is one of the most powerful pieces I've ever seen, and really kind of explains. It's a good look, objective perspective of what is happening in our country. It makes sense when it's put into terms that are understandable, and I think Dave Chappelle is a master wordsmith.
Agreed.
And he explains it perfectly.
Absolutely. Well, I've always considered Dave to be, definitely the top comedian of his time right now, and definitely the top of social criticism. And so, I concur entirely with that. I think there's a lot of valuable things to be heard in that special. And, just the role of creatives in this whole environment right now. We were talking about it earlier, but, we're all doing soul searching. We're all trying to figure out what our role and what our place is and all that. And I think it's great that, you guys have identified, how you can contribute, and, you're making good strides in that direction, providing financial support. Cause, in this country, money is ammunition, and the culture war that it is, that's the ammunition is money.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we live in a time where we listen to comedians and we laugh at our politicians.
Amen. And that has been the foundation of my show for a really long time. So, I feel that 110%. So, we're going to hear that single Fell In just a little bit. We're going to open up with their song, with Eldren's song Should Have Stayed, which is dedicated to the memory of Tyler's father and to their fallen bandmate in 2016.
Steve Holloway.
Holloway. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll also be playing their track NWO, as well as a couple other songs that'll be on that new album. And I'm going to try and pierce the veil one more time. Do you guys have a title for that album yet?
No.
All right.
We don't.
Cool. Well, we will keep that.
Yeah.
So I was like, don't worry, I won't pry any further on that. Some things need to remain secret. But, thank you guys so much for being on this show and, sharing yourselves, your music, your personalities with us. It was great to have you here.
Thank you, Corbin.
Totally. And hopefully
It was a blast, man.
for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, it was great. And, hopefully we can find a point in the near distant future when we can be in person and you guys could play a set here in the studio and blow our minds.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for having us, and thank you for everybody who's watching.
Thank you guys.
Totally.
We appreciate you. We love you.
Yeah, we hope to be out playing in public soon. It's just
Sooner
I think
than
we're
later,
kind of
yeah.
torn about the best way to do that everyone can feel safe and feel like it's worth it. So I think that's kind of where we're at with that, unfortunately. But we're desperately looking forward to it. So don't worry, we will be back, hopefully, to play live.
Excellent. Well, I will be holding out hope. And, no matter what, we've got the separation sessions and all of your wonderful music, that you've recorded up to this point and your soon to be fantastic album that'll be out.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Corbin.
Totally, guys. Well, y'all have an excellent time. And everyone that is tuning in, you also have excellent times. And please, pretty please with sugar on top, stick around and enjoy these songs and these music videos by Eldren. They are so very good. I can't say enough good things about them. It's just good, psyche, summer grooves, and fills you up with all the good feels. So please enjoy this selection of songs, and I will catch you next time. Appreciate you.
See you guys.
Boom, boom.
Upside down we go. Oh, oh no. Oh, down we go. I love the way you are. You feel the same. I don't know where you are. You from afar, you could have stayed.
Hey, bud, give me a call and get a chance. This is your dad. I'm stuck in the night. Happy birthday, son. I hope to talk to you today. Take care. Love you. I saw your YouTube Love you, Ty.
Who could have stayed? Who could have stayed?
This has been a production of NoCo FM.